Hello, it's Jay Berry here. Welcome back to the DJ Lab Beginner Production Series. If you haven't seen the previous videos, please watch them. They're in the Beginner Production Series playlist. So at this point, we know how to do a little bit of arrangement. We've done a little bit of automation as well. The next step is for us to actually learn how to fit our sounds together nicely. So that's one of the most challenging things as a producer, picking the right sounds and getting them to fit nice and snug around each other, because we want to hear each sound nice, clean, and clear. So the first step towards understanding that is to check out the spectrum. Okay, so the spectrum is in audio effects just here and down in spectrum. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to put that on. Actually, I think I've already put one on the master. Yep. Now, if you're wondering why my tracks are blue, I've basically done something called freezing on them. I had skipping on the last video, so I thought that I could avoid that by freezing the tracks. We'll talk about that more later. For now, it's not important for you guys. Okay, so what we're going to look at first is this. So I've double-clicked that to make that big in the screen. Now, what we got here, on the side is volume. So vertical is volume, and across the horizontal axis is frequency. So that's 0, 100 hertz, 1000 hertz, 10,000. Now you can see this is a little bit confusing at first, how the volume's in negatives. But what it means is basically the maximum that you can get to with the spectrum in Ableton is 0 decibels. And what that means is, you can think of it like 0 degrees is the freezing point of water, yeah? So, 0 degrees is a freezing point of water. So it's kind of like this. Basically, when you get up to 0, that's when your music's going to be distorting or your sounds are going to be distorting, so we stay under that. So I'm going to press play now. Okay, so this is a whole track. Right here we can hear the boom, 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 boom. Right there, that's a kick drum coming up. So we can see its maximum is about -24 and I don't know, about 50 hertz. You can also see some hi-hats over here. Alright, now the other cool thing is down in this corner here, see that there? When you hover your mouse over something, so that's where it was at its maximum value, we can see that that says, down here, it says 47.1 hertz, which is in F, and that's at -23.7 decibels. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to have a look at each thing. So I've soloed my drums by pressing the S. Kick drum here, that's very obvious. Snare, or the clap. And we can see that's at 955 hertz, for example. Okay, next let's look at the bass. I might just leave it on this smaller view. You can see that the bass is mainly in this area, isn't it? Around 100. But there's a little bit of content up here as well. Next one, chord. Chord's sitting a little further along in this area. Next sound. Alrighty, so my camera just froze, so I've just restarted the video. So yeah, we got up to string, which is just here. String sitting a little higher again. So that's cool, it's going to have its own space, yeah? Oh. Alright, pad's going to fill up this area a little bit more. Now that will be overlapping some of the other sounds a little bit, but that's what we could use EQs to get rid of. We won't do that particular kind of EQing today, but definitely in a later lesson. So there we go. Its main points are just up here, just past 100, and then just up here, maybe around 500. So we can still hear that fairly clear, which is cool. Then we got vocal.
Understand it, it's a one night stand.
You can see that kind of just has its little peaks and ridges throughout, from 50 up until maybe 5,000. Now, if we play them all together, we'll hear them nice, clean, and clear.
Understand
They all sit in their own
it, it's a one
space.
night stand.
Cool. I hope that made sense. So now the next thing we're going to look at is basically when two elements sit in the exact same range, what happens? Okay, so I've got a chord sound here, and then I've got this one here. Different sound, but it's sitting in the same range. So if we look on the spectrum, for example, the lowest point here, I've hovered over it there, and that's 183. I think the other one I should say is the same thing, because it's in the same key and everything. Yeah, it is. Now if we play these together, this one is not clear. So I'll turn it up a bit more for more effect. They're not fitting around each other, they're fighting each other for space. So if we listen in a mix, it would just sound muddy and unclear.
Understand it, it's a one night stand.
Alright, so how can we fix this problem? Well, if we pitch this one up, what it's going to do is it's going to go a little bit higher in the frequency band. So instead of being at 183, it'll end up being a bit higher up here, maybe around the 400s or something like that. How to pitch it up? We click on here and we go to transpose, which is on the simpler. Again, I'll get more into this later. I just want to give you guys the general information for now so that you understand. And I'm going to go plus 12, which is an octave. Okay. Now that's sitting higher than this one. We can see that's about 300. This one's sitting in. It's not doing 300 quite as much as this one, so they'll both have their own space a bit more. If we go even higher, we'll give it even more space. And ideally, that is what you do, because now that's going to be well clear of this one. You can see that's at 800. And this sound isn't doing too much at 800 there. So, as we can see, where's this? Yeah, it's not doing too much. There's a gap there for this one to pop through. Okay, awesome. So that was the spectrum and how you can use that to think about how you can get things to fit into your tracks. So basically, that is basically how you want to start thinking. So as an exercise and for some homework, I recommend when you've got your, a loop or something arranged, put a spectrum on each thing and see what frequencies each one of the elements is occupying. Once you start to understand that, you don't need to look at the spectrum all the time. It just comes as second nature, which is really cool. And obviously, once you start getting the hang of that, all of your sounds will sound a lot better, clearer, and cleaner together. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe and stay tuned for the next video in this series. Also, if you need any extra help, you can email me the letter J at djlab.com.au.